Last orders at the bar!
A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen dinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, I'll feel safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Well, hello there, everybody.
Hello.
It's Mauler and I. We're back. We're following in the tradition here of being like a week late and getting last orders done. But you know what? The important thing is we do get it done.
They get done. It's true.
Girls get it done, I guess. What can I say? But yeah, in this case, it was just because I had to go away for a few days over the weekend and I just didn't have any availability. But here I am. I'm back. So it kind of worked out all right that we had to miss an episode of Open Bar, which gave us the time to catch up on this before the next one happens. So we'll make it work. So our challenge now is to remember what we were talking about. I've got a lovely thumbnail, actually. When I'm looking at the list of super chats here, it's just Sydney Sweeney staring back at me. So that perked me right up in all the correct ways. But yeah, here's some questions from Al Sword, who says, Jennifer Connelly, Marissa Tomei, Elizabeth Hurley, still stunning. I guess it's just like older actresses that are really hot still.
Completely and utterly agreed.
Yeah, no issues with any of them.
Pick a movie of the... So a friend of mine didn't know anything about why am I forgetting? Kate Beckinsale. Just didn't.
Yes.
Know about, and I was like, okay, look at her starring in. I think I chose like Underworld and someone else. Van Helsing.
Yeah,
they were like this era, and I was like, just look at it, and he was like, wow, yeah, she's pretty hot. And I was like, yeah, now look at it now.
Yeah, it's not. There was one picture that they showed recently where she was like super skinny, and I was like, don't do that. But yeah, generally, that woman was born to wear a corset. It just looks superb.
Yeah, not like the greatest actress of all time, but oh well.
she you know what, she was pleasant on the screen, so yeah, because she was a funny one. She was everywhere in the 2000s and then just sort of vanished. You don't really see her in much these days.
She's in a bunch of Underworld sequels that nobody watched.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Which we probably don't want to talk about.
Nah.
Slumpy says, Mauler, how do you feel about axing a question? I don't know.
Axe away.
Yeah. Mapel, any tips for writing an episodic TV show? Specifically, how does one wrap up an ending for a show structured like that? Tell a self-contained story with each episode.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the way I would always be influenced by Mutant Enemy. So the format for Firefly, Buffy, and Angel, which was always, you have like 3 tiers of paying off throughout a season, which is individual episodes, a chunk of episodes being anywhere between 3 and 7, and then the season. So individual episodes, just like you create some kind of problem that gets solved by the end. That's the simplest way to save it. But, you know, during the episode, you create elements or dramas that aren't quite solved yet, and then you inch away at big issues that are going to come way later.
Yeah, I think I'd throw into the mix as well Star Trek The Next Generation. They really typified the whole A and B plot style of storytelling, where you've got the main drive of the episode, the main narrative arc, and there'll usually be a B plot there with like 2 other at least unrelated characters to the main narrative, where they've got another problem that they have to fix or some kind of personal growth that they have to go through. And it makes for a nice, balanced, satisfying story by the time you get to the end, where both of those major plot lines have wrapped up. So yeah, there's a lot of good examples out there from the days when episodic TV was nice and it actually existed, unlike what we have now. One more thing says, any thoughts on Naked Gun? Hoping it'll be good, but doubting that Neeson has the comic timing and charisma. Well, you're wrong on both counts there. Also, lazy writing, lack of voiceover and tease, just bang fart joke. No, I quite like the Naked Gun. It wasn't comedy gold or anything, but I did chuckle quite a few times.
It's weird that I would say it's the best comedy we've had in fucking ages, and it's like, so you liked it, and I'm like,
Come on, there had to be bits like when,
Well,
he's like
everyone
when he's
knows what
arriving at the
fucking bit I
nightclub,
like.
and it's like he just drops his coat on that guy's like entire tray of champagne.
There's a lot of little things like that, but not to drag us into crazy territory. As someone I talk with, it feels like someone who really liked Naked Gun and is trying to go off memory of what the formula is.
Sure,
They get some stuff. It's like, oh yeah, that's on point, but then there's a lot of other stuff that's like, oh, this is running a bit dry. You're trying really hard, and I get it, and I appreciate it, but like, there's a lot of stuff that's just not working.
Towards the end, it does run out of steam a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, and something I noticed about the first act compared to the second and third is that they were really trying with the background jokes, but then they sort of give up and they disappear.
Yes,
Which
that's a good point, actually.
Just for the record, though, this isn't about necessarily how bad Liam Neeson's Naked Gun is, more so how good the original is. I adore the original.
Yeah, it would make for a good watch through, actually, for some future thing. But yeah, I think Liam Neeson was pretty well cast in the role. I think he perfectly handles the deadpan comedy style that Leslie Nielsen had. So
I think he's the best choice we had. I still don't quite think they quite got it, and I'm actually okay with that because it's a different thing. Like, they make reference to how he wants to, be his own thing. That's totally fine. I just it wasn't anywhere near as funny for me.
Pickle Pepper says, it's interesting in the States, most memorials are for World War II and newer, or ACW and older. What's ACW? Oh, Civil War. There's a big gap of conflicts between that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I know obviously America participated in World War One, but they didn't join until quite late in the game. So maybe they just, they didn't suffer the kind of mass casualties that we did. So maybe you don't really have memorials to that. But then, yeah, that's kind of interesting. I suppose after the Civil War, there really wasn't much in the way of conflicts that America was involved in until World War One, and even then it was fairly limited. Unless there's some big conflict that I've missed and it's just jumped out of my head.
The Gumbo Offensive.
Sure, yeah. Jegson Voorhees says, Drinker & Co., how do you... What? This person's written all in like abbreviations. How do you think PRD Predator Badlands story will go? Badly, yeah. Make a guess.
Trailers. The reason why we get hopeful about trailers is because they present to us like an idealized version of what experience we might get. When you show me a trailer that is bad, I'm like, oh god, what the fuck is the movie then?
Yeah, it's kind of like when you go into a fast food restaurant and you see the beautiful pictures of the burgers up on the screens, and then what you actually get is some sad, squashed, mess.
Yeah.
And if the pictures on the screens don't even look good, you're in for a shit meal there, son. The Trouble with Tipples says, hello there. Thank you for all the great content. Which movie creature scared you the most as a kid? For me, it was the Black Wolf from The Neverending Story. Ooh. I mean, I suppose the easy answer is the Xenomorph, isn't it? But that's a bit...
I've said before, and people misinterpret this as some kind of like, I'm so Chad. It's really not. The alien never scared me, even when I was 8. I just thought it was one of the most awesome, cool creatures ever. I was so invested in what it was going to do and how it was going to kill people. Creatures that scare me, The Thing was definitely one of those. I couldn't imagine getting anywhere fucking near that thing, for lack of a better way of describing it. I was just like, holy shit, that's terrifying. Same, by the way, for The Fly. Any portion of Brundlefly when it was getting toward its latter half, I was actually just like, this is fucking horrifying and disgusting, and let alone to be in the same room with it, to be it, like, Jesus Christ, horrifying. So I might go with that.
There was a TV show, right, shown here in the UK, and you won't remember this more because this was from my generation. I think it was the early 90s, but it was called Chimera, right? And I watched it when I was like, I don't know, 8 years old or something, and it scared the absolute shit out of me because of the way the creature looked. Here it is. Which looks kind of goofy now, but like for 8-year-old me, that was fucking terrifying.
There's a lot of things. The child's mind, it can generate all kinds. I mean, I've been on record saying Darkness Falls scared the shit out of me, even though it's now considered like a really shitty crappy horror movie with it's like the Tooth Fairy but a demon. But like when I was young, it scared me. It's like you never know what'll do it.
Do you remember the the fluke worm monster thingy from the X-Files?
I never watched the X-Files properly. I need to do that.
Oh, darn it. Yeah, that was a good monster. Like the creature effects were pretty good on it. I think there's always something about something that's like it's almost recognizable as human, but like horribly like misshapen in some way. Like Boogie. You know, like where it's just like, you know, there's something almost recognizable. There's some trace of humanity there, but it's like been corrupted and destroyed and ruined.
So, fun fact. Sorry, this is going to run into two stories, actually. First one is that I happen to know, it was a clip someone sent me. So Boogie's talking about how many achievements that he's recently achieved. One of them being he's proposed to his child bride. So that's wonderful for him. Obviously horrifying in its actual context. But another one is that he's lost so much weight. And you hear that and you're like, oh, wow. Because he was obviously, I think at maximum something like 600 pounds. So he's since his high, he's lost like 200 plus. So he's down to 300 and something. And he says he can't wait to reach his goal weight, right? Goal weight of 300 so that he can get skin removal surgery. And I heard that and I was like, sorry, you're going to remove your skin at 300? You know that's still like obese, right?
Well, I know, but you have to wonder how much of that excess weight is just skin.
Hence you saying he's like there's only a smidgen of humanity left. It's like you've been 600 for probably like 40 years, so I guess you're probably like a blanket of just horrors that you need to get corrected regardless. But I figure if you're that big, why not get to an actual goal weight instead of a bullshit one? Because 300 is still is that am I wrong? Is that not medically obese? I thought it was, especially he's like 5'8" or something.
Yeah, that's got to be way huge. I wonder if there's a BMI calculator here. Hold on.
It's gotta be, but well, when I heard, I was just like, he's gonna have to lose a lot more than that. And it's like, yeah, but remember, he has a double meat curtain, and it's like, I guess again though, and you know, I'm not saying anything if you're listening and you currently have a double meat curtain. I'm just saying that like you might want to lose a bit more because you don't want to get skin removal surgery and then get another skin removal surgery because you lose a bit more after, right? Wouldn't you want to do it all in one? I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm unaware of how this works.
So I'm having to do some rough calculations here, right? Just to calculate this because I'm using the NHS's site, which means I have to convert into metric. So what would be 300 pounds, kilos? All right, so that would be 136 kilos. God, this is going to be terrifying. So what would he be? Right. Okay, his BMX. BMX.
BMX. As if he would get anywhere near a BMX.
So his BMI is 42.9. Now, for context, anything above 30 is classed as obese.
Yeah, so yeah.
So yeah, much to our shock, Boogie is considered medically obese. That's if he gets to his goal weight of 300. I mean, God knows, what is he, 400 at the moment?
I don't see the point in him getting surgery anyway, because I don't know if you know this, but like all of his weight has been lost thanks to one, the surgery, the one that makes your stomach stapled or whatever, and two, Ozempic. He's publicly admitted that most of what has made him lose weight is Ozempic, and it's just like, bro, I'm you know like how much controversy that drug has gone through. If the theoretical wizard told me this person, Fatty McDougalberry, if you just call him Boogie, I guess, was going to die from being fat unless they get Ozempic and then they would lose weight, I'd be like, okay, maybe in that case, I guess Ozempic is good for you, because I wouldn't trust it. You know, you need to, as many experts would tell you, it's more of a lifestyle change than it is a being, because like Ozempic feels like you're putting yourself in a mental prison, or I guess a physical prison in that case. So you don't really learn anything. You're just being forced to do X. And so inevitably, once the restrictions are released, once the goal is reached, you'll go back to Y. right? Like,
Yeah.
it's almost guaranteed. And someone could be like, yeah, but they still get thin for that amount of time. It's like, I guess it's just that I would have thought that, so in his case, I would be like, even though I fucking hate him, and so my investment is limited, I'd just be like, surely Ozempic is not the end. You need to actually find a reason to change the way that you live.
I mean, I think going on past experience here, if he's 52 years old or something, and he still hasn't been able to, he's probably not going to by now. But I was suddenly haunted by the terrifying image of him getting all that skin removed, getting sewn back together, and then putting the weight on again and just kind of ripping apart at the seams.
Oh, so someone I think they were on Joe Rogan. It could have been, but the actor, I forget his name, but the one that was on My Name Is Earl. He's
the guy who became a total dude bro, or sorry, gym bro.
He apparently lost all the weight, gained a bunch of muscle, and then he got skin surgery, and he's got this story. And I don't want to put anyone off from doing this, from hearing this, and I think the same for him somewhat. But he was unfortunate. The surgery didn't go perfectly, and apparently I think he fell at one point, on the stairs or something, and he split open all of the work that was done to seal the wounds, and he had to go straight to hospital. And I was just like, oh fucking hell, that sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
Kind of like a stitched puppet of how your skin's all put together, and it's all comes. I almost regret sharing that compared to there are success stories all over the place. People who get it done, and they have, I think they're called compression suits or something that you're supposed to wear, and then you're supposed to not move. And once you do that for half a year or so, everything is the way it should be or whatever. But yeah,
I guess the ideal then is just to never let it get to that stage where you need to have
absolutely
your
skin. Boogie is just a bullshit in human form. So the idea that it's I've achieved all of this through a medically drug-induced lack of appetite and then a surgical, physically induced lack of stomach. I'm just like, fuck off.
Anyway, welcome back to Boogie Talk featuring Drinker and Mauler.
Well, so funnily enough, I said that was the first part. The second thing will be really quick, but I picked up. We were talking. Was it on Open Bar Last Orders or something where you recommended Bumbu? I can't remember. Was that?
Yeah, it was. I think it was.
I just don't remember if that was recorded or not. So to give context, but you were talking about you recommended it, and I really liked it, and I drank it, and it was very good. But I always associated sort of cream alcohols with Baileys to the point where I liked them, and then I liked their different flavors. But I've recently noticed, which is retarded, it just shows my lack of knowledge on alcohol, that plenty of different brands do a cream version of any given thing that they're making. A lot of rums do it. And I was in my local B&M, which is a franchise store we have here.
Classy individual, you.
Well, it's one of many different things. It was newly built, so I was like, let's go have a look. And they had a whole bunch of things I'm familiar with, but cream versions, because apparently they're on the rise, don't you know, Drinker?
It's the rise of the cream.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with everyone getting extremely fat. Yes, it's nothing.
It will be.
But one of them was Dead Man's Fingers, but a cream
yeah.
version, a cream liqueur. It was blue raspberry tequila Dead Man's Fingers, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'll try that, why not? So I picked that up along with a couple of other random things. I put it through, and the cashier, as she was scanning them, she picked the bottle up and she went, ugh. And I found that so bizarre. I was packing some stuff and I just went, sorry? And she was just like, why are you buying something called Dead Man's Fingers? And I was like, oh, it's a drink. It's not actually his fingers.
When you're getting judged by a B&M cashier, you've hit a low point in life.
And she was like, yeah, but you could have bought something sounding a little bit better. And I was like, really? I don't think I give a shit about what it's named as long as it tastes good. It's like I didn't realize everyone was so picky about their alcohol, but fair enough.
Well, yeah. Jesus. Anyway, I should probably get back on track here.
Yes.
Cornwall says, I've got a challenge for you three, or two in this case. Recast all the main characters from Predator, Dutch, Dylan, Poncho, Billy, Blaine, Mac, etc., with current day actors. Can you do it? Alan Richardson as Dutch, maybe to start? So we need a bunch of super big chaps to be this. So yeah, I guess Alan Richardson would be a good choice.
Can I be the stick in mud and say that Alan Richardson is not a replacement for Arnie?
Well, no one is really, but like, you need someone.
Gal Gadot? I don't know.
No, Pedro Pascal, obviously.
No, at least what I mean with Gal Gadot is like because I'm assuming I think we've had this discussion before. But Predator is, I think, my pick for Arnold Schwarzenegger's best performance.
Yeah, we talked about that. I'd be inclined to agree.
People say he's a robot, which is why he's good in Terminator. And it's like, if we discount Terminator, then I think Predator is his best performance of actually capturing perfectly what the character is supposed to be without being a robot. I think it's really, really good. And so it's like, so who's a replacement? It's like, oh man, I don't know. Like the idea of getting someone who's really muscly isn't really quite everything you're looking for.
I mean, yeah, not to fall back on Old Faithful here, but would you put Henry Cavill in that role?
I think he could pull it off. We might be unprepared for him delivering one-liners because it's not something he does, but I think he could do it. So I would accept that. Jesse Ventura is like, maybe someone like because he doesn't do a lot of acting before he's killed.
So put The Rock in there or something.
It could be The Rock. It could also be why am I forgetting his name? The guy who played Drax. My brain's
Batista.
Yeah, that's possible. Because it's just not a lot of work that needs to be done. Mac
needs someone who's a bit more dangerous.
Yeah,
and he's got that dark side, like dark aspect to his personality. Because that's kind of where Mac goes with this. Like,
I fucking love him in that movie. You know, if you keep giving away our position, I'm just gonna gut you and let you bleed or whatever.
Yeah,
that's so good. Fuck, who can replace him right now?
Mahershala. No, I was gonna say Mahershala Ali.
Maybe that could be one of them screen test sort of things where we go, oh shit, yeah, you can pull it off.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
I wouldn't rule it out. Yeah,
Billy is an interesting one.
Yes,
he's again, he's got that intensity, and man, Sonny Landham, like they had to have bodyguards to protect the rest of the crew from him. So
that's a tough one.
Yeah. Hugh Jackman
Hawkins would be easy. You can replace him with anybody, basically. You say Hugh Jackman for Billy?
Yeah, I'm just wondering. Not to try and emulate, Sonny Landham's performance so much as you need a guy with a lot of intensity there, and I think Jackman can give you that.
He probably could. I'm just not sure. Is someone? I was thinking a little bit younger, but the problem is that a lot of our pool in even our collective heads would be people who are past 40s at this point for all of the actors that we consider worthwhile.
Yeah,
as unfortunate as that is.
No, we're kind of getting to that point, aren't we? And like, who could replace Carl Weathers?
Oh, that's a tough one.
That dude has got so much fucking charisma in that movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's really difficult. We'd have to look through a fucking list of all kinds of actors and be like, I guess they might be able to.
Because, yeah, you could see the shift that's happened with actors in the current generation where we are kind of struggling to find guys who can fill those kinds of roles, to fill those shoes, where they were like 10 to a dozen back in the 80s. Like, there was just a lot of actors who probably could have taken on those roles and done a great job with it. And the ones that we are naming, most of them, as Mahler says, are like well into their 40s at this point. Some are in their 50s. So we're not really getting that in the younger generation.
Oh, I mean, it's like, who can Timothy Chalamet play out of this selection? It's like, no one.
Fuck me, I'd pay good money to see Timothy Chalamet take on a Predator.
And so, like of the modern selection of younger hero type, well, not even heroes, just protagonist types that can. I don't know, man. You know what's crazy is like my selection of major actors probably very similar to yours, even when we were of our different eras, technically. and a generation above and below is kind of the same. And it's like, that's not good. It's like stagnant.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Close
Again,
enough.
I do like the idea of Gal Gadot as well, just throwing her in for no reason.
Yeah.
Give her
We
like
can
the
make
most.
her Hawkins.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I don't have communication.
Cara Frey Kitty says, just noticed Mauer's Isle of Man badge. Well, it's about goddamn time.
Yeah.
TRKG says, riddle me this, drinker. If no one wants to see real dinosaurs, then why is the trailer for Primitive War gaining traction? What? When did I say that no one wants to see real dinosaurs?
We had that whole argument. I don't know what your major
Yeah,
point
but now
was.
people are taking it to like ludicrous levels where it's like, trying to argue that I'm saying like, oh, people would actually boycott Jurassic Park if it was ever created for real. Of course they wouldn't. Of course they would be interested in it, but yeah, I don't know much about Primitive War, unfortunately.
No, me either.
1 Million Man says, just look at Terrifier 3, an unrated indie horror movie made over $90 million on a $2 million budget. Not the highest grossing, but absolutely the most financially successful film of 2024.
Oh, yeah.
Studios ignore that.
This is a formula that we are very familiar with. Horror seems to be the only one that gets away with it. It can...
Yes.
To the point where a lot of aspiring filmmakers, i.e. Chris Stuckman, and this is not a criticism, at least not yet, will start with horror because audiences are so much more willing to engage with a basic premise as long as it sounds kind of creative. And a lot of horror can be done very cheap because it's just like, it's a house, but dark. It's a forest, but dark. It's a street, but dark.
And I think if you can excel at horror, you've probably got a reasonable career ahead of you. Like, if you've actually come up with something genuinely creative and interesting and, dare I say it, even scary, you've probably done a good job. And maybe there's going to be, like, other possibilities in other genres, but, like, you've proven yourself in one of the tougher ones to succeed in. So,
I love me some horror, man. Weapons was good shit.
Sam Wallace says, actress sexism complaints are valid, but not directed at the people responsible, the producers. Fans complain about ugly actors and corn content. There is a middle ground, but producers steer the ship. So, just in relation to the Sydney Sweeney stuff?
Maybe. I guess the idea that, like, if Scarlett Johansson has any rage to direct at anybody, it probably should be the people who ask her to do not only the people who ask her to do the sexual scenes or innuendos, but also don't give her scripts that give her character or meaning. If I remember, and I'm not going to bother hunting this shit down, but I remember a certain sequence, and this was something that we highlighted back when Joss Whedon was cancelled, like the first year. There's this interview where they're talking about what Avengers 1 and 2 achieved, and she's with a whole bunch of people. I wish I could give you the clip because I can't remember where it's from. But they're all talking about what Avengers did, what Marvel did, and how amazing it is. They're talking about the Captain Marvel being on the way, I think. Mm-hmm. This is why I saw it, because it was when I was making that video. And she is one of the last people to speak, and she specifically names Joss Whedon as being the reason that Black Widow gets Scarlett Johansson, of course, which gets a chance at being a lot more than just eye candy. She gets to be a full character. She gets to have a background. She gets to have values, and she gets to have an impact on the plot. Sure. And I remember the reason why I sent it to a friend was I was like, look at how awkward everyone feels when she tries to credit Joss Whedon, who is now completely cancelled, because everyone around is like, sure. Like, yeah, okay.
Well, was this a recent retrospective? So it was like after his cancellation?
I think it was done before he was cancelled and then released after, if you know what I mean.
Right, I see. So it would have been, do you think it was a time when everyone kind of knew within...
Yeah, like the writing was on the wall about what was going to happen to his career. So, but I think, because if you remember, Iron Man 2, which I like, there's plenty of things I like in it. That's when Black Widow comes in. She's mostly hot, and she has an action scene.
I think people have pointed that out many times, where she's relatively lacking in personality and quite monotone.
I'm going to stand up like that meme of that guy standing. I have no problem with her being sexy, and that's about it in that film. But I also love the fact that in Avengers she gets a huge chunk of character while also being sexy. It's like, fuck yeah, go for
Both
it.
can be accomplished. And
Yeah, and then Age of Ultron takes it to a place that a lot of people didn't like. You know, the whole we learn that her I guess uterus was surgically removed as part of being an efficient assassin, which in and of itself is perfectly reasonable as like something they might do to create the perfect assassins. It's just that do you remember the scene where she says she's a monster as a result of that, and people were like, wow, that doesn't make you a monster. And it's like,
I know
no,
they're misinterpreting the meaning behind that. It's like, look what they were willing to do to turn me into an assassin. Like, if that's one of the physical alterations that's happened to me, imagine what that's done to my psyche, or what all this training's done to me. I am a killing machine. I am a monster.
Not going to say that it's like perfectly handled, but a lot of people shit on that scene for way worse than it actually was. But it seemed to me that she, as an actress, really appreciated the fact that she went from being just a sex symbol, which again, fine with that for Black Widow, to a sex symbol plus, a story that actually matters. And remember, she outsmarts Loki in an interrogation scene, which is really fucking cool. It's really well written. So
I think we can also, we can acknowledge two things being true. Like, one, that Joss Whedon, has been cancelled and probably has done questionable things in his career, but has also achieved a lot from a writing point of view in the things, that he's made. And this is a separating the art from the artist kind of situation.
I mean,
but I think that's okay to acknowledge that.
A lot of people just didn't know who made different things. And so when he made Justice League, and you watch this fucking sickly, disjointed mess of a movie, and then all the controversy came out, and it's like the creator of that is actually a monster. It's very easy to just be like, oh, fuck that guy. And then someone's like, oh, but he did make a bunch of good stuff too. And you're like, huh?
Yeah, isn't it weird that like his name was so firmly attached to Justice League in a way that it wasn't with the Avengers? Because I never watched the Avengers it was never really billed as like Joss Whedon's Avengers or anything like that. It wasn't like, oh, this is a Joss Whedon movie, that's the real hallmark of quality there. It was just, he directed it and wrote it, and that was it.
No, it's something I appreciate. He didn't make it all about him, even though...
But he probably should have.
You know now more than a lot of people knew about just how much it made sense to have him. You get it in Firefly, but like Angel and Buffy throughout, because it's contemporary, they make loads of references. There's a point where there's a character who can control time in Angel, and they move real fast as a result. And one of the characters says, yeah, like they were Barry Allen. And then a bunch of people look around and look at him like, what? And he goes, Wally West. And then everyone's like, what? He goes, Jay Garrick. And then they were like, you would say it? And he goes, like he was moving really fast. And the reference is obviously the Flash, but it doesn't matter. So it's a comic reference. There's another one where Angel does something that is almost impossible for any human to do. And someone says it's almost like he's Captain America. And then someone else says, yeah, like Steve Rogers. And then the other guy goes, yeah, Captain America. Like, why did you say that sort of thing? Basically, Joss filled Buffy and Angel with comic references. It's why he was like, and he wrote the X-Men, a lot of X-Men comics. So it's why they chose him as a director, because he's familiar with ensemble sort of situations. He did 2 superhero TV shows technically before superheroes kicked off, and he's very familiar with the Avengers. I think Gary has said this, but at the time he wasn't sure that he was a good pick at all for Avengers. And then he saw his movie and he was like, okay, he was an excellent fucking pick. It's that kind of thing. And what's cool about it, unlike James Gunn, is that as much as when you finish the movie it says a Joss Whedon film, that wasn't the marketing. The marketing was the characters. The marketing was the combination of a bunch of years of work on a bunch of individual films coming together. It wasn't, look at me, I'm James Gunn. Here's my movie. And it's like, yeah, I gotcha. So you shut the fuck up, please.
In case you're not picking up on the subtle hints here, we're not the biggest fans of James Gunn at the moment.
What can I say other than Avengers 2012 is one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. Superman is a sad reality of where we're heading next. Yeah.
Well said. Keith Ringer says, Rags, they're trying to get the same thing in the US. There's a law up for it in the US, and YouTube globally is trying to do the same ID system. Yeah, that would be a bit of a horrifying dystopia if that's what happens. You need to ID verify yourself to use YouTube.
I'm a little sad about that. As far as I'm aware, Australia are basically locked in. They're going to be following along with the UK very soon, and then America is going to be following like the following year, which is just like, good God, are we actually letting this happen? That fucking sucks.
Yep. Wolfram and Hart says, Drinker, I love the Wallace single malt Scotch whiskey liqueur. Glenfiddich had similar blend, but both discontinued. Any similar liqueurs that you recommend? So, yeah, the thing with me is I'm not a huge liqueur drinker, especially if you're talking blended whiskey liqueurs. It's just, it's not really my thing. If I'm going to have whiskey, I'd rather have like a single malt rather than a liqueur version. I'm trying to think of any liqueurs that I do use for anything. It would mostly be in, I don't know if you put them in, mostly be as a mixer in a cocktail or something, I guess. Yeah, I'm a big liqueur guy. Breaking
Good
Puppets.
Name, by the way.
Yes, that's an Angel reference, isn't it?
How do you know that?
I understood that reference. Yay!
I'm glad you know
that. Breaking Puppet. I watched the occasional Angel episode. Okay, I'm not completely left behind there. Breaking Puppet says, I believe Netflix's Death Note is better than Lord of the Rings. You probably said that to the wrong group of people. I mean, it'd have to be pretty damn good. Fosurdus says, thoughts on the Dexter revival? Does it deepen his arc or just rehash old ground? Curious if it adds value or tarnishes the legacy. I've heard from a few people that it's not bad, but I don't know how much faith to put in that.
I'm starting to look at Dexter as the fucking Bible. I'm like, which chapters am I supposed to read? Like, what? How does this? Isn't there 2 reboots now? How has that happened?
I don't know. One of them I think was decanonized because it was absolute garbage.
I only ever watched episode 1 of the original series when it came out, and I thought to myself, this seems okay, and then I never picked it up, and that's all I've got.
Yeah, I've not got much more I can add to it, unfortunately. Eugenio, this is a question for Rags, so I don't know if we can answer this, but it says, your old friend, JTech TV, is at it again. Fritanga said on his stream that he contacted you about the situation. Just wanted your thoughts.
So, man, when you said I could, maybe we could answer it, I was like, yeah, I should be able to. I can't answer that one. I have no idea what Rags would say.
I literally don't know any of those names that were in that one, so I don't know what's going on.
I know the name. I know it's like a feud that I think happened before Rags had met me, but I can't say what Rags would say to that. I'm sorry.
No. Jay Fraser says, hail gents, this comment has been removed by Keir. Yeah, I know. I was critical of my country the other day.
It's becoming harder and harder to be patriotic in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, Britain, I want to love you, but holy fuck, you're making it hard. Reno the Turk, America is going to come in dressed as a prison guard and have England in a ball gag in no time. Yeah. 6 Turner 4 Burning says, we'll invade as soon as our Secretary of Defense un-DEIs our military. I think you guys are working pretty rapidly at that from what I understand, so I don't know. Bad Wolf Dawn says, is it funny that the Canadian tuxedo will make a comeback due to Sydney Sweeney? P.S. Razor Fist and Gundam are the profits that we deserve. They are indeed, but yeah, I want to see that. I want to see all denim outfits be a thing again.
Sure.
Alex Worstler says, Critical Drinker is going to go to jail for saying the US should invade Great Britain. It was nice knowing you, buddy. Well, haha, joke's on you because I'm still free. Eatman says, snap Ryan Drake out of existence to be the president of the Bond franchise and Lucasfilms for 15 years. Mauler, 2 million to you if you stuckmanize your channel for 5 years.
Why did you put it that way? What does that mean?
Well, you have to deliver every review as like in the style of Chris Stuckman, so no more than like 8 minutes long, and you have to sound as if you want to murder yourself.
So, but I get how much money?
2 million. But you got to spend 5 years to get that 2 million. So that's quite a commitment.
I'm actually. I don't know if this sounds ridiculous to people. I'm just going to say no. If it were 5 million. I'd be like, ooh, I could maybe put that toward really changing, making a movie or whatever they have. But 2 million is like, nah, I'll just try and make that through hard work instead.
Mo was just like, 2 million, that's fucking chump change for me, boyos.
It sacrifices everything about who I am. So it's like, nah, I don't want to do that.
That's fair.
What was the one they said to you? You have to sacrifice Ryan Drake as an IP, I guess. Like, no more Ryan Drake anything.
Well, I think what they're saying is like it never even existed in the first place. In order to be the president of the Bond franchise and Lucasfilm for 15 years.
Oh, come on.
Think of either the good I could do or the damage I could do to those brands.
Nah, no, I refuse. So, like, if someone said, like, oh no, Drinker could lead it to a worse place, like, no, he couldn't. There's nothing you could do that could put Bond and Star Wars in a worse place than they fucking are. I don't believe it. You'd have to create something that I would call you and be like, dude, are you dead?
Have you had a stroke? I would sacrifice the Ryan Drake series, yes, to try and save pop
and I would
culture.
respect you for that. And then I would be like, any help you need to, dude, that's such an undertaking trying to fix Bond and Star Wars. Jesus.
Yeah. You'd be like asking if I need help, and I'll be like, "Can you lend me $2 million?" Like, no, I haven't stockmanized.
Who you casting as Bond?
You know who. You know exactly who I'm
Cavill,
casting. Yeah, I'm going with that.
I don't blame you, but I would obviously, in that meeting where you declare this, I would be like, "Can we still do Old Man Bond with Pierce Brosnan, please?"
I wonder, is there a way to do that?
The problem is obviously the clock is running on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd find a way. I'd find whether I like just shoot the Pierce Brosnan one now and then wait like 10 years to release it or something.
Yeah.
We could do it that way.
We got freedom. We can.
I've got ultimate control. Drake Timbershaft, hail panel, hail chat, special hail to Gundam. Gundo, do you need smelling salts? He was fine. He made it through. Anxiety says, Drinker, could you please ask Razor and Gundam my hypothetical question about actresses from earlier if they're sober enough for it and it's not a bother? Well, I could, if I remember what your question was, but they're actually not here. So, yeah, it's probably best if we leave that one, I'm afraid. David Marshall says, hi, Gundam, do you consider yourself a degenerate? Well, I don't normally like to answer for people, but I would say absolutely 100% yes.
100%, yeah.
The Imperial Brick. People were getting the shit beat out of them for spoiling Endgame. Why is that coming here all of a sudden? I mean, sure, I guess maybe they were. I just want to interject into a conversation one day and say that dead serious. He also says, remember Mall Cop 2? Like the Paul Blart movies. Everyone remembers them.
I just love the meme of like Boral Collop. Like you just
what?
Paul Balt Mall Collop. Like you just start to move all the vowels everywhere. It's like Paul Gorham Moral Cop. I don't know that anyone's actually seen those movies. I just think that everyone talks about them.
I think they're hypothetical movies. Like if you actually went to like buy the DVD, it would just be blank.
Yes.
Intelligent Crayon Eater says, given the massive amount of immigration to Britain, if the US invaded, we could call it Gulf War 3, complete the trilogy. Well, there you go. I suppose you could. Thomas Howard, did you guys actually like Fantastic Four, or does it seem good because it's a mediocre movie from 2005 that feels good by comparison because they abandoned all the messaging?
I think the 2005 one is better. So, no to that. But I did think it was better than The Marvels, Brave New World, Thunderbolts. What else is there? Other things. That's the confusing part of our job when we're trying to create an element that implies to the audience of what scale we're generating. When you say something like Fantastic Four is better than Brave New World, people are like, are you only saying that because it's not absolute cringe? It's like, yeah, maybe, but you know,
that's the approach I tried to take with my review, where it's like, okay, if you're really desperate to see a Marvel movie at some point this year and you don't want to skip back by like 5 or 6 years, then I guess this is the best you're likely to get. And
yeah,
kind of a sad state of affairs, but yeah, like there was like the basic elements of storytelling in that movie, and it's like, well, that's a big step up from Brave New World and Thunderbolts then.
It's very amusing, by the way. It's like $500 million flop. Other people are like, that's insane. That doesn't make any sense. And you're like, It does, though, if you knew anything about anything, but it does.
I mean, it's like, how many times can I make the fucking video? Like, this is how financing works in movies, and this is why you need to make like twice your budget to get just to break even. And it's like, I don't know, some people are just determined to be retarded when it comes to this sort of thing. Bass Player says someone needs to do a study of this era of entertainment when it's all said and done. It's statistically harder to fail than it is to succeed. Yeah, I mean, I think we will. Many books will be written once we're past this era about, say, the destruction of the big franchises, the downfall of Marvel, the downfall of Star Wars, how these failed so badly, because it is fascinating.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just, we're kind of irritated by it because like we don't like to see things that we used to enjoy shit now. But it's actually fascinating from a business point of view, from a creative point of view, how these things went downhill so badly.
From an audience point of view, because you and I, as much as we were different generations, we both watched Iron Man release in theaters, both watched it as it came out, thought it was fucking cool, watched the MCU rise, and now we're watching... everyone agreed the concept of Doomsday and the desperation of dragging all the fucking X-Men into it and everyone you could possibly imagine. It's like, okay, yeah, it'll probably make a lot of money. Fantastic Four comes out, flops, and you're like, whoa, maybe Doomsday won't make $1 billion.
Yep.
Maybe something weird's going. And it's just like, yeah, we're probably, I mean, I don't see why this wouldn't be the case, but you and I are probably going to watch the MCU die. You know,
Yeah.
when we've watched it come from nothing and fucking fall to ashes. It's going to be an interesting thing to talk about.
It has risen from dust, and to dust it shall return. Yeah, I was talking to Chris Gore at the weekend there, and he was saying, like, he summed it up, like, the market cap is reduced by like 50% for these movies. Like, 500 million is pretty much the best they can hope for just a standard Marvel movie now. I mean, that's kind of terrifying if you're budgeting these things, but oh well, we get to point and laugh. Casey Boyd, why the fuck is Doctor Doom the big bad and not Galactus? Also, how is the MCU going to bring in Franklin Richards? He's the most OP character in Marvel. I don't know, he's just a little tiny baby at the moment, so what the fuck can he do?
God, there's so much to say about this. Like, Franklin Richards probably shouldn't be introduced yet, especially with your first intro to the Fantastic Four into the MCU. Secondly, Galactus, why isn't he the big bad instead of Doctor Doom? I think there is a version of this that works where he kills the universe Fantastic Four belong to, and they escape it, and they warn the MCU of what's to come, deal with Doom, and then Galactus becomes the Phase 1 bad guy of the new MCU slate. Like, that could work if everything was good. It ain't. Like, it's just that's the situation we're in. And the fact that we're talking about this, trying to make it work, see how it could be understood. And Mephisto is just fucking sitting there in Ironheart, like, hey, you guys going to acknowledge me? And it's like, no.
I did have another thought there, right? I wonder where Captain Marvel is in all this, like an Avengers Doomsday.
Dude, you say that. What about Kira? Whatever the hell her name is. Yeah, you didn't even watch Secret Invasion, right? You skipped that one.
Yeah, because you told me to, I think.
Absolutely. It's one of the... So I think I was on Real BBC and it was like, you know, anybody, I think we had a super chat saying, what's the worst movie or TV show individually? And Secret Invasion, between me and Gary, scored at like, it's in the top 3. It's either number 2 or 3. It's one of the worst things that ever happened. And at the end of it, you have a creature, played by Emilia Clarke for some reason, that has all of the powers of every hero in one.
Oh, yeah.
Including Captain Marvel, including the Hulk, including all of the most powerful people you can think of. She's got them all. And she'll never be referenced again.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Next up is Aided Clock. Says, Gundam's prediction for a future of trading Triple X material as a currency is becoming more true by the week. Yeah, it'll eventually get outlawed. Casey Boyd says, Franklin Richards can literally create alternate dimensions or repair them. Do we see where this is going?
Nah.
Reminder to Drinker that Team America is a musical. Would we class it as a musical? I know it's got musical numbers in it, but I don't know, man.
It's complicated. Whatever the thing is called between a non-musical and a musical, that's what Team America is.
I would define musical if the characters on screen actually sing, but they don't. It's a soundtrack.
There's a couple of sequences where they sort of sing, but they're all in universe kind of, like the songs they see him sing and performing on Broadway sort of stuff. But I get what you mean. I don't. I've seen Team America a million times. I don't think of it as a musical, despite the fact that I love the songs in it.
I do as well. Yeah, there's some classics there. Casey Boyd also says, Mauler, tell Drinker to listen to Avenged Sevenfold. Are they good?
Well, I don't know if you're going to like them, but the thing for me is my favorite bands, I love listening to basically everything they make. Avenged Sevenfold is tier 2, where much like Dragon Force or a bunch of other bands, I like some songs. A lot of songs I don't like. I'm not a huge
Kind of a mixed bag.
fan. Yeah, there's some stuff I really like from them. Because Avenged Sevenfold to me, especially their I think their album's called Nightmare or something like that. But they got a bit of a Halloween theme that I love, using bells and sort of like spooky aesthetics and stuff that I just think makes for really awesome music. But I wouldn't advocate. They're not on. If I had a top 10 bands, I'm not sure if Avenged Sevenfold makes it. They might.
Jay Fraser says, what's the best/worst Adam Sandler comedy film? I mean, I think Jack and Jill is probably widely agreed to be the worst. Best? Would it be the first Happy Gilmore?
Yeah, probably. It's really good.
Yeah. It was back when he used to try.
There's a lot of, of that era sort of films that are worthwhile from him. I don't need to name them, but like in my head, it's like, like Little Nicky or 50 First Dates, Waterboy. These are before he became super popular. Then you enter an era where it's just sludge, just pure fucking sludge with some highlights. I know a lot of people think this is sludge, but there's parts of Click I quite like compared to his other movies at the same time. And then everyone started to associate with him as someone who makes a real film every once in a while. So Longest Yard, there's stuff that's good in it compared to the films he's making around it. Funny People's definitely one of them. Uncut Gems. I think Anger Management is better than a lot of the films that it sort of releases against. Mr. Deeds, I kind of liked more than some of the other ones. But then if we were to list all of the shit ones, there is a lot. Maybe best represented by Pixels, where it was just like, ugh. Yeah. Just CGI worthlessness and doing everything you know him to do. And then Happy Gilmore 2, to me, it doesn't breach that. Watching it was like, yeah, this is cheap as hell, kind of cynical, pays enough respect, to the point where the person who made it probably watched Happy Gilmore, which is like good for you, I guess, but that's about it. Adam Sandler's never been a seal of approval. He's a seal of kind of bad, but sometimes you might get, because I remember people pitting him against Ben Stiller, which I always thought was unfair because Ben Stiller's a much better artist in terms of what he's a part of and what he makes.
I think so, yeah. And like I always got the impression he was trying a bit harder and like there's a bit more thought put into it. Yeah, like Sandler was just like for a long time about churning out the sludge, as you said. I think it was a deal with Netflix or something that he had. And the result was he was weirdly like one of the highest earning actors in Hollywood for a good few years, just for sheer volume of stuff that he was making. And probably because of very lucrative pay deals. But yeah, I'm kind of glad you mentioned Longest Yard, actually. I've got a weird soft spot for that movie. I do rather like it.
On that note, have you watched Mean Machine?
Yes, the Vinnie Jones one.
I always preferred Mean Machine, and it was weirdly, it kind of made me kind of love Vinnie Jones as an actor as a kid, because obviously Mean Machine's 2001, so I would have seen that when I was 8. Yeah, and I really liked that movie. Days. And so that combined with that, I was just like, Vinnie Jones is fucking awesome. And then my dad was like, "Do you know he was like a footballer who was kind of insane?" And I was like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, he's." It's kind of funny that Mean Machine is kind of working with that as a plot line. And I remember watching Longest Yard, which would have been 4 years later, and being like, "This is a rip off of Mean Machine." And it's like,
aren't they knowing about the Burt Reynolds one?
Yeah. So it sort of became that, but at the same time, funnily enough, Jason Fleming's in Mean Machine as well. So it was. I always felt Mean Machine was better than Longest Yard, by the way, the remake. But at the same time, it was just interesting to watch, and That dude who's in Gladiator, the one with the crazy voice, he's in Mean Machine. He's the villain in it, and he has the crazy eyebrows.
He does have crazy eyebrows. Yeah, I was like, are they like gelled or something to make them even bigger? It's like the work's gone into them. I
make
think
them feel more evil.
Yeah,
But,
I remember Jason Statham being in it as well as this batshit insane goalie. Like, is there not a bit where he's having this like big fight sequence where he's like hurtling through the air and stuff?
Does Guy Ritchie have anything to do with that movie? Because it feels like he should, you know?
Yeah, it's like a big Snatch reunion, isn't it? I don't think he did, but yeah, I remember Statham doing like the world's worst Scottish accent.
In any case, really liked the movie. Was really into it, and I was like, why hasn't Vinnie Jones been able to kick off? And then I remember seeing him in Swordfish and X-Men 3, and I was like, okay,
that's why.
Well,
yeah. He has a very narrow range of characters that he can play, and he's good at them, but just don't try and take him outside of that.
No, it was really unfortunate. So when I saw him in Gentleman, I was like, yay, please, a director who can make use of what he's capable of, because I know Guy Ritchie would know, out of anybody, how to use Vinnie Jones.
Oh, yeah. Kim R says, no Snarky J, what a perfect opportunity to hear her opinion on the Sydney Sweeney topic. Well, you know, you had to make do with us. Sorry. By the way, love your Ryan Drake books, only missing Something to Die For. Cheers, gentlemen. Well, I hope you can get your hands on it at some point. But yeah, appreciate it. Frank Sposato says to the group, between VHS, DVD, and any digital platforms, which movies are better to watch in each format? I mean, like, do you want us to go through every movie ever?
I was about to say, surely they specified a particular film, right? Otherwise,
they've not given us anything more, unfortunately, just that. I mean, generally speaking, yeah, I prefer physical media. So if I wanted like the top quality, you're going to want like, you know, 4K Blu-ray. But man, I've got such a soft spot for VHS tapes. I'm of that generation that still had VCRs. I suppose you might have had them when you were little. They were probably pretty much done by then.
So my dad, obsessed with films. I was always blown away by his film collection. He had an enormous set. You know that moment in Hot Fuzz where Danny reveals
the power of Grayskull.
Yeah, my dad had that times 3. It was unbelievable. As a kid, I was just like, I will never see all of these. But what frustrated my dad was when DVD came in, he was like, no, I've got my VHS collection. And then people start giving them to him for his birthday. And then he bought 1 or 2 because, you know, whatever. And then he was like, so you would have like 99% VHS, but then there's a column of DVDs. And as time went on, as you know, the DVDs took over. And he was like, fine, it's a DVD collection now. It's not a VHS one. And then, of course, Blu-ray came. He was like, you fucking kidding me? And what was funny is at this point, my elder siblings had started their own collections. I hadn't really, other than like a Simpsons, all of the seasons, or American Dad, whatever have you, Family Guy, blah, 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 Futurama. It was meager compared to his and my sisters, but they were like, DVDs we can commit to, because they're a format that, you know, Blu-rays are the same. It's just, it's better quality or whatever. But as time went on, it was like, nah, Blu-rays are like better. So DVDs got outphased. And then that was the last phase. My dad got all the Blu-rays, and then I was like, oh, have you heard of 4Ks, like UHDs? And he was like, I don't care.
Like, I'm not playing this game anymore, goddammit.
And accentuate the best many years back. I don't know, because I don't know how many years this was, but you know when Lord of the Rings got re-released as 4Ks, like UHDs, I bought my dad the set, and he was like, I really appreciate that you've done this, but I can't play these. I haven't got I've got a Blu-ray player, I've not got a 4K player. And I was like, aha. And then I revealed I'd bought him that as well, and he was like, okay.
Did he just like slowly hang his head and be like, oh, I give on?
Well,
I'll do it.
The sad reality is, and I don't take any pleasure in announcing this, is that my dad doesn't. I love watching movies with him, but he really, truly, he's old enough that he can't quite tell the difference between Blu-ray and 4K. He's like, it's it's mostly the same to him. So I was like, hey, all good. Watch movies he watches a lot of movies still on cable TV, so to speak, right? The equivalent for us. So I'll come in the room and see him watching like fucking open range, if you will, on TV quality, which is absolute shit as far as I'm concerned. He won't know the difference. He's just like, yeah, I love my movies. And I'm like, good. And I'll sit down and watch it with him. And I'll be like, I can get you open range on 4K. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, yeah.
The thing is, as well, right? A lot of it's then going to come down to the quality of your TV. Like, you can have the best player in the world, but like, if you don't have like the super ultra high
they have a good
definition
TV.
to...
It's I think most people have a good TV now. It's become pretty affordable. You know, like a really good.
Yeah, I think, you know, at a certain point you kind of make that choice between like the quality of the screen or the size, and it's like you can get both, but then that you're paying like serious money for that. But yeah, I kind of agree. Like even the relatively base models now are good enough that like they can handle it. Like,
well, so I've realized just how much I've gone through so many different changes with this, because I obviously had my own VHS collection when I was younger. Then I moved into DVDs. Then I moved into Blu-rays. Then I moved into 4Ks, which is what I've got right now. I've got a little showcase right now of my favorite films of all time in 4K. So it includes stuff like from Terminator, Alien, different franchises and stuff. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, blah, blah, blah. But to give you an example, I want to watch Father Ted. I'm planning to watch it with Metal when he comes over this Christmas, because we did Blackadder and Faulty Towers last time he came up, which I think both of us had seen, but we wanted to do it again. You can't get Father Ted on 4K. So I was like, well, I'll just get it on whatever it's available on. I want the physical version. And so my physical of DVD and Blu-ray has actually quite, grown, because it's the only format you can get a lot of things on right now. So like,
especially like the sort of older BBC shows and things like that. Just cause...
Yeah. Well, Red Dwarf I've got on, I think. Did that come out on Blu-ray? Well, whatever it's out on is what
I've only got
it
it on DVD. Yeah.
And, I'm happy with that. It's fine. Faulty Towers on a 4x3, clearly. I think I've got Faulty Towers on Blu-ray, but if you put it on a TV, you're not going to know that's a Blu-ray release. It looks old, and that's fine with me. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It is just, it's interesting, the changes that we've gone through just in our relatively short lifetimes. But, man, there is times when I get nostalgic for that, the graininess of VHS.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with it. I am genuinely am.
I think because we watched Mask of Zorro together, which is going to get a re-release on Moolah, because the fucking original went down for copyright, by the way, and it stayed down.
Boo.
But there's an intro with a bunch of explanation of the current world building, like in what part in history, and I mentioned on there, as I will now, we couldn't read that. We had it on VHS, we had it on our smaller TV back in the day, and we couldn't read any of it. We were just like, well, like, I don't know what the intro is, but whatever. The film is going to be fun.
Casey Boyd here says, Drinker, if you like Ailstorm, then listen to sorry if I get this wrong, Corpic Lani. Their biggest hit is Vodka, and the chorus says, drinking is good for you. Need I say more?
True.
You need not say any more. That sounds perfect. Mixterpiece says, I'm most upset that there were elements of a good movie squandered by Sandler's lack of caring. When Happy and Shooter had a fight and bonded realistically, that could have been the start of greatness. I did like that scene. That felt quite honest.
Seen it said the best thing about Happy Gilmore 2 is Shooter, and I'm willing to agree with that. I really liked him in it.
He was good, yeah.
It felt like an actor who was like, this is my comeback. I've got a chance to actually make use of this, and I'm gonna give it my everything. And I was like, I feel it, bro. I like you in this.
Just willing him on. Casey Boyd says, I appreciate you guys starting to dip your feet into Eastern media. The breakdown of crap Western media is fun, but it would be cool to see more analysis of the entertainment that's outselling it. I couldn't agree more, yeah. I wish I had even more time to do stuff like that. Hey, Jeffy Maximo says, the fact Mindy is given any credit for the masterpiece that is The Office is beyond belief at this point. Yeah, I think we never really got the bottom line on like how much work she did. I've heard it's everything from just polishing up dialogue occasionally to like writing entire episodes, and no one seems entirely clear on it.
I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable that when some of the best jokes in The Office, if she says like, I wrote that episode, that anyone could be like, okay, but did you write that joke? Did you come up with a version of that joke that someone else corrected? I'm so like, it's a weird thing, because you know how we can simultaneously agree that Ridley Scott, James Cameron, fucking even James Gunn or Joss Whedon, that they're capable of really great stuff. They're also capable of absolute shit. So it's like, so why isn't Mindy Kaling capable of absolute shit and also great stuff? It's like, I don't think I've seen anything from her that I know is hers that convinces me she's capable of anything good. That's the honest take.
Yeah. Whereas we have seen a lot of stuff from her that's absolute shit.
Yes.
So yeah, not great. Kubus says, thanks, Drinker and Mauler, for making me watch Firefly after way too long. I binged your reaction as well. Drinker, you mentioned Mal's chair wouldn't be possible in Star Trek, but I think you should give Deep Space Nine another chance. Sorry. When I think they wrote character, or they meant to write character, but they just wrote char. Anyway, you mentioned that Mal's character wouldn't be possible in Star Trek, but I think you should give Deep Space Nine another chance. So yes, I know that was quite famous for being the more morally grey of the Star Treks, where Sisko's forced to make lots of tough decisions for the good of the Federation. So I get it, but it is quite a lot to go back and rewatch because Deep Space Nine was a biggie.
I'm just want to say I'm very glad that was a very fun thing that we did with Firefly, and I'm just glad a lot of people got to watch it additionally because it deserves it. It's such a great show.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. I'm like, I did a review of the overall series, and I think that got like 1 million views, and I was just like, you know what, that feels good. Like maybe a few of those people will then go and watch it, like if they hadn't before. John Orchard says, the immortal words of Drinker, characters are only as smart as the writer. There aren't any writers in Hollywood. They don't write to entertain. They write for dollars only. Does feel like that, sadly.
Yeah.
Kubis also says, you mentioned you never got into Deep Space Nine. While The Next Generation is still the best Star Trek series, I think DS9 is way better in character development. That's what I've heard. More focus in detail.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. It's interesting.
More focus and detail about each character than was possible in TNG. Please rewatch. Yeah, I think the big difference is like Deep Space Nine was usually more grounded. It was much more rooted in like real life political issues in the Federation rather than, you know, wacky monster of the week space adventures where the crew are like turned into monkeys or something, or like the ship's turned inside out or something. Like this was much more realistic. So I could definitely see the appeal of it. What's that? Sunny Hard says the worst part of open bar is skipping streams to see films. Well, what can you do, eh? Joe McDermott, there are cancelled comedies out there. MDE, cancelled from Adult Swim, just self-released Extreme Peace 2, waiting for a Shane Gillis movie. Interesting.
Shane Gillis movie. I wonder how that will go. I feel like he's really helped a lot of different products get their reputations back. I know he did an ad for Budweiser and a bunch of other things, and it's like Shane Gillis because he's actually funny, and he kind of represents a sort of return to normalcy because he's able to be edgy while simultaneously mainstream. He managed to crack that, which is difficult.
Oh well, I mean, good on him then. You know.
No, yeah, I like him. You know, however things will turn out eventually, who knows? But another thing I was going to mention because the super chat prior to that mentioned, if you just remind me what it was because my brain is melting a little bit.
I assume it's not this one. The worst part of open bar is skipping streams to see films. The DS9 one, is that the one?
No, it was that one. So it's just a funny thing to note. So you know how EFAB takes 10 years to review anything?
Yeah.
It's funny when we do like we're gonna break down. Let's say we do want to do weapons. We're going to try and find a slot for it. We take so long, let's say 6 or 7 hours, that there will be fans who are like, oh, this is a good movie. Let me go watch it. They watch it, and then they watch the show on 1.5 from the beginning and complete it at the time of completion and have watched the movie. It's, you know what I mean? It's just like really funny how that works. It's just like, oh, I'll go watch it, hang on, and then they watch it live, the review of it. You know?
EFAP is so long and so powerful that it's able to bend the laws of time around itself. Like, it's terrifying.
Something I am on board with.
Yeah, but I guess the point they were making there is like, yeah, they've like sometimes we might say talk about weapons on the next open bar, and like they'd be like, oh shit, well I don't want to get it spoiled, so I'll go off and watch the movie. So yeah. It's an occupational hazard, and it sometimes happens.
This is not a criticism to Friday Night Tights, and nor do I want it to be interpreted that way. However, when listening to their analysis, right, they can barely scrape past the first half of Act 1 without someone saying, "Sorry, can't talk about that." Spoilers. Sorry, can't talk about that. Spoilers. Oh, we could. Can't talk about that because and I'm just sitting there like, okay. Please make a spoiler section because you're not going to talk about this next week. Give me,
Yeah.
I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah, because I think, we try to approach it like, okay, we're going to do the spoiler-free overall thoughts on The Thing for the first, 15 minutes or so. And it's like, okay, are we safe now? Yeah, okay, let's delve into spoilers and then go from there. And yeah, you're going to lose a few people, but, it's just the law of the land, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's worth it because I think sometimes people just want us to go into detail and they're curious about, how it actually works.
Jeremy Johns does the spoiler and spoiler-free versions of reviews. I'm totally fine with that. Red Letter Media this is why I'm bringing this up. Actually, I was listening to Red Letter Media review Weapons, and they were like, "Oh, don't say that because that spoils it." And it's like, "Oh, okay." And then the review ends, and it's like, "Well, but can you make a spoiler section? You're not going to talk about this ever again. I wanted to hear what you have to say about the end and what the characters went through and all that sort of stuff." And FNT. They might talk about it again at some point. It's just the protection of spoilers, which I totally understand, but it's subverted totally. Because I know people who watch Open Bar, they'll be like, "Don't talk spoilers, then I have to turn off." And it's like, yeah, but that should tell you just how much we're trying to tell you that this movie's worth seeing. And some people, I know this sounds crazy, some people won't see a movie just because we said go see it. But when they hear us talk about the spoilers, they might go, "That sounds interesting, actually. I might go see this." Which,
possible.
if that's what happens, then that's what happens. I've actually come to terms with the fact that if I had to spoil all of Buffy and Angel to get someone to watch it, that's worth it. I'd be like, yeah, sure. If that's the only way to get you to see it, fine.
Yeah. Masterpiece says Mark Hamill was great in The Life of Chuck, and I absolutely love that movie. A celebration of being, life, living, and love. Check it out.
Have I told you anything about Life of Chuck yet?
You've mentioned it before. I don't remember specifically what you said about it.
I've seen it, and take this with a grain of salt because I am hyper biased to Flanagan. It is a Stephen King adapted book. The film itself has been described by people who did not like it as saccharine, meaning it's indulgent in its wholesomeness.
Yeah.
But Act 1 was confusing. Act 2 was great. Act 3 was somewhere in the middle. And then I realized what the film was about, and it clicked, and then I loved it. I loved the whole thing. And looking back, I rewatched Act 1, and I was like, oh man, this is good stuff. But then I looked at reviews, and a lot of people loved it. A lot of people said, I don't care for this sort of it's like eating a cake that's covered in icing. It's just too much. And I was like, okay, fair enough. It's not out in a lot of places yet, but it will be. It's going to be my runner-up for Film of the Year behind Weapons, probably, and Warfare. It's just enough to figure out. But I do like that. If I had 3 favorites of the year, it's going to be between a wholesome sort of slice of life film versus a war film that's brutal and sort of naked in its representation of what is involved in the nature of war versus a horror thriller. It's like, that's a really cool selection. As much as I hate, and I want to stress this, Drinker, hate 2025 for what it's done with film. The fact that is the variation of my 3 favorite films is like, yeah, that's good shit. But it's cool.
I think it's nice, actually. Yeah, that they're not all just they're not just all stodgy dramas or, God forbid, comic book movies or something. So yeah, you got a nice mix there.
So I'll be interested to hear what you think of Life of Chuck when you get a chance to see it.
It's got Tom Hiddleston in it, hasn't it?
It is, and as much as Mark Hamill's a psycho, I want to try and.
You mean in the movie or in real life?
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like Kevin Spacey. This is down to you individually, and I'm not going to try and compel you either way. I really liked him in the film. I thought he was awesome, the role he plays, and I really love him in House of Usher. He looks like he'd be interesting in that film, The Long Walk. I don't know if you've seen an advert for that, but as much as he's a wacky fella on social media, it's something I try to keep out of my mind versus him as an actor. I do like him as an actor. He's the grandfather in Life of Chuck, and it's I think he plays a very meaningful role that's got a few layers to it. So,
well, I mean, I've passed the test so far of separating the art from the artist because I was able to enjoy him in House of Usher. So you can keep that going. Great, I guess. Lumpy says, I'd rather watch Gal in a movie over Pedro. I mean, no argument there. Well, actually, no. Wait, let's examine this because he can give a good performance. That's one thing that Gal definitely can't do. But she is a lot nicer to look at.
So that is not. I get it. She's hot as fuck, but like, I'm at the point where I wanted to be doing Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze era. Get her in more ridiculous, over the top roles, and I would take her over even some good actors. However, if she's filling in for just average supporting role, it's like, I guess I'll take Pedro Pascal over that. Like, he can act way better than she can. As much, I don't even think her eye candy is going to last much longer. I'm being very
controversial
very honest
there.
Here. I mean, I'm not saying she's ugly. I'm just saying that. How old is she right now? Like,
I think she's about 40, I think.
I'm just saying she ain't no spring chicken.
Well, she might end up like joining that list of like Liz Hurley and Salma Hayek and stuff.
That's true. Yeah, I could totally imagine she ages well. She can't. What's crazy about those actresses is like, where the fuck has Elizabeth Hurley been? What has she even been in?
Well, didn't she do one where she was getting directed by her son, and there was like loads of sex scenes in it and stuff, and it was really super disturbing.
Man.
It is.
Yeah, I don't recognize any of the movie. Christmas in the Caribbean, Christmas in Paradise, The Boy on the Beach, Father Christmas is Back, Then Came You, Runaways.
I imagine when you start doing like Hallmark Christmas movies like that, that's rock bottom. Like you can't.
I hate to say it, but yeah, I guess they bring everyone. Well, I say, wait, is John Cleese in this movie? Have you seen he's done like a retirement documentary thing?
I mean, he's not exactly busy these days, is he? He's getting on a bit.
No, and someone I found out apparently he did stem cells for a really long time in his life to try and remain somewhat younger, and I was like, oh. Okay. Kelsey Grammer is in. What the fuck is this movie? Father Christmas is Back, starring John Cleese, Kelsey Grammer, Elizabeth Hurley. Man.
I mean, Kelsey Grammer, like, I will always love him for Frasier, right? Which I still firmly believe is one of the best sitcoms ever made. But holy fuck, that man will take a quick and easy paycheck. He is definitely not too proud for that. And he has been in some shit movies.
I just gotta say, with how we find ourselves watching different films based on premises, like if I said to you, hey, Drinker, want to watch a movie where it centers around 4 sisters who have reunited for the Christmas holiday in a Yorkshire mansion. Misunderstandings uncover the long-buried secret that tore the family apart so many years ago.
Fucking sign me up for that one.
What's funny about that is it could be great. It's not going to be.
I think it would probably make for a superb recording session of just like live reaction, just because of how absurd it is.
Well, the fact that Kelsey Grammer, John Cleese, and Elizabeth Hurley are the main characters, it's like, I guess their performances could be entertaining. I guess they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I imagine they were probably serving alcohol at like the craft buffet at lunchtime, so just to get them through this.
Yeah, I think the John Cleese thing is called Packing It In or something, but I definitely want to watch that. He's talking about how he knows he's going to die soon, which is like, oh,
great. That sounds fun.
But yeah, whatever. It's John Cleese.
Mike Roakak says, please invite Gundam on the bar more often. He's my favorite autistic. He's our favorite too.
Yeah,
we love Gundam.
He's the autistic.
Yeah. Lion Main Man says, comic book movies are dead. I'm not finding much that I can disagree with you on that one, really. James Moore, you should absolutely watch Pointless Hub's video on Cowboys and Aliens. The story of how that got made is crazy. I watched that movie one time at the cinema, like whenever it was, like 15 years ago when it came out, and I've never seen it or broadly thought about it ever since.
Do you know, I don't know. I'm trying to think of whether or not this is a fair memory or not. Like, as in whether or not I was being fair in the cinema, but because it's Jon Favreau, right? Who made that?
I just remember that Harrison Ford and Daniel Craig were in it. Beyond that, I got not much.
Let me check real quick. Directoire. When did that come out? Do you know? How was it? 2011. Yeah, he was the director. So you get Iron Man, and prior to that, several films like Elf and others that I think people consider to be him doing good work. I remember watching Cowboys and Aliens and thinking, wow, that was shit. And then when it said a Jon Favreau film, I was like, what? No. how did that happen? And then I was like, well, what's going on? And you get then after that, because before that was Iron Man 2, which was nowhere near as good as Iron Man. And it's like, what's going on? Jungle Book, which is, different people have different opinions on that. It's totally fine. But then The Lion King comes out. The Lion King is where Jon Favreau was staked in the heart by Hollywood, and he can't be a creative anymore. It's over.
I mean, he straight up just admitted that he did that for the paycheck, didn't he?
So sad. But the thing is, that's one of those things. You know how we say about Age of Ultron, where it's like, Joss Whedon said, they fucked me over, they ruined my vision, blah 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 blah. And there's a lot of examples of that. We would say for Suicide Squad with David Ayer, and then Josh Trank with Fan Stick. Perhaps his original version would have been better. All that stuff. Lion King, I don't give that kind of deference to Jon Favreau because everything about that production is fucking rancid. I despise everything it represents. There's not like, oh, this could work if you just kind of move that over there, or if you have some more scenes, or it looks like unfortunately they cut it. So no, every fucking element of that piece of shit movie that tries to basically bank on the fame. And you know what sums it up perfectly? The one item, and I know that a lot of people will hear me say this and be like, what are you talking about? But the casting of Zazu, originally being Rowan Atkinson, who is a brilliant actor, who's excellent at absorbing and becoming a character that you need him to be, who understands the value of different expressions and intonations. The man who played Blackadder and Mr. Bean, two polar opposites. You replace him with John Oliver. It's one of the most offensive ideas. And you'd be like, oh, who would you cast? It's like, I don't know. Rowan Atkinson? He's still alive, you fucks. He can
still do things.
He's better than John Oliver, for Christ's sake. And it's like, well, yeah, but he's not as famous. And you're like, fuck you. That's all I have to say. I hate that movie so much. And Jon Favreau's reputation, if it was a little battery and it was like, it's like 50, 60, 70, it's like, oh, what do you think he's going to do next? As soon as he did Lion King, 0%. And it's like, oh, he did some of The Mandalorian. I'm like, don't care. I just don't care anymore. He's killed himself to me.
The Mandalorian doesn't really elevate one's reputation much anyway.
Or about The Mandalorian Grogu? Are you excited? That's made by him.
So excited, yeah.
He's directing Jungle Book 2.
I'm just looking forward to seeing Pedro Pascal again. I haven't seen him in 5 minutes, so yeah, that'll be good. Red Cosmonaut here says, "Hey guys, have any of you seen the Expanse series? I have, and it was pretty good. It gets pretty decidedly weird towards the end, but I liked the early stages of it. Quite grounded sci-fi.
Quite got into it. I wish I did.
I'd say stick with it because it's got some interesting ideas in there, but it's not going to change your life or anything. It's just more for the world and the tech and the world building that they've done with it. Pretty good.
I'll very well get into it now. From what I've understood, is one of the main characters got cancelled and then he's arbitrarily killed in the series, which pissed a bunch of people off. Isn't that something that happens?
I didn't follow the news around it, so
I remember Gary saying something like that. So it's like, oh,
sounds like something they would do.
Yeah.
Grant says, you're a producer for a biopic. The twist is that you must cast Pedro Pascal as the title character. Who are you making the biopic about? I mean,
Pedro Pascal?
Yeah, is it too obvious or what? I'm going to have him play Gal Gadot because then it'll settle that debate.
That would be
who we'd rather see more of.
You recreate the scene in '84 where it's like, you have to give it the stone, but it's him talking to him. Yeah, beautiful.
Philip Poole says, I went to see Sabbath. Birmingham is the UK Detroit. Yeah, Birmingham's an absolute shithole. Sorry to anyone who lives there, but it's true. Eat My Slamwich says, main character in Lord of War is based on Russian arms dealer Victor Boots. If they do a sequel, I hope they show a demented president trading him for a WNBA player who was caught smuggling drugs. Sure, yeah, let's go with it. Squared Prime says, if Lord of War 2 sticks with the same guy, we'll get to see him traded for Brittany Griner. Is this a fucking true story? Like, what the hell? Everyone's saying the same thing. Maester Marwin, Superman reminds me of Joker 2, where everyone was dubiously hopeful for it, but all the worst fears came true and more. I mean, I'm not going to put it on the same level as Joker 2 because the reaction to it hasn't been as universal hatred.
The problem with Joker 2 was what we'd heard about what it was going to be, and we were like, why would it be that catastrophic? You know, it's like the guy who made Joker 1 surely knows what he's doing, and it's no. Meanwhile, with James Gunn, we had a lot of reason to think that this movie would end up the way that it did end up. Like lot of you remember everyone saying it's like, oh, well, he's good at making ensemble wacky character casts, but that's not suitable for Superman. Then you watch the movie and you're like, well, I don't know what I expected.
James Gunn's going to James Gunn, isn't he?
Yeah.
G-Bags says, hey fellas, thoughts on the new Smashing Machine trailer? It looks like a great movie and it's something different compared to woke slop served up by the big studios or any recent Marvel films. Do you know much about that at all? Smashing Machine?
No, I don't think I've even heard of that. Smashing Machine. Doesn't sound familiar.
Hold on. Oh yeah, it's The Rock. Yeah, that one where he's playing like the cage fighter.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've seen the trailers for it in a couple of movies that I went to the cinema to see recently, and yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. His face looks fucking weird. I don't know what prosthetics he's got going on for this, but yeah, it's based on a true story. I'd be kind of interested to watch it. You might actually see The Rock doing acting. Is that what they call it? I think they used to call it that.
I'm not trying to be a dick, and I don't think this is controversial because nobody seems to give a shit about The Rock anymore. But like, you watch a trailer like that, and the only assumption that's reasonable is, oh, you're trying to go into a real movie now because you've spent so long not making real movies. And someone could be like, you're a pretentious asshole to say that. And I'm like,
It's fucking true though. Like, yeah, he's been, he's had a good run of just been doing mindless slop and making a shit zillion dollars in the process. And now it's like, I want to prove that there's more to me than just big
that
muscles.
Is exactly what I think he's doing. He wants to prove himself an actor, and it's like, well, we'll see. No offense, Mr. The Rock, but I mean,
what's kind of curious, actually, like watching the trajectories of him and Batista, because Batista kind of got into acting after The Rock, like he's following in his footsteps, trying to become an action star and stuff. Never really rose to the same level, but then quite relatively quickly changed into doing more serious roles, or at least trying to. You give Batista his due; he's taken on quite a few roles that demand him to do a bit of acting. Whereas The Rock obviously rose way higher as a action star, but now he's making that switch to trying to do more serious stuff, like way after Batista and trying to follow in his footsteps. So they're all kind of like twisted and turning around each other.
Go ahead, guys. You really, ultimately, it's only beneficial to us that someone wants to make an actual movie. It's like, you go right ahead and try.
Look at him go. Lion Man Main. Michael Bay needs to make an Iron Man film. I'd actually pay to see that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, dude. I think that would score higher than most of what the MCU could ever achieve. Go for it, Michael. I believe in you.
What he would have done with Black Widow in her prime.
Oh my god. Prime Michael Bay with prime Black Widow. Whoa. Yes.
There would have been so many ass shots you would have been spinning.
Yes.
Patrick Mulligan says, care to explain why James Bond should be played by a white actor in a modern setting? The OG Cold War setting makes sense why he needs to be white. Well, yeah, because a black guy is going to stand out a little bit in Russia, isn't he? Which is a good point. Patrick Mulligan says, I hope you asked Razorfist about the Lincoln film. Didn't, unfortunately. I don't know what that is. Do you mean
I haven't seen the
Lincoln?
You're talking about Spielberg film, right? I think. That's Spielberg, right?
One.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. But I'll be honest with you, I've not felt the need to see it. Nobody really talks about it.
I mean, it's a superb performance from Daniel Day-Lewis, which is kind of what you'd expect from anything he does. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty fucking long and dry as far as movies go.
3 hours, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of a slog, and most of that is people arguing in like Senate chambers and stuff, so it's not exactly gripping stuff. So make of that what you will.
Yeah.
The Almost Dead Man says, does Ben Stiller offer someone a nice tall glass of shut the hell up in Happy Gilmore 2? I think he does make some joke like that, doesn't he?
Man, it's bad that I've flushed most of Happy Gilmore 2 already. I was happy to see him. Not just as a reference, but because I don't know, I kind of like Ben Stiller. It's fun to see him because I always feel like
he's always going to be White Goodman.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as we mentioned, it felt like Dodge. There you go already. It's Happy Gilmore 2 was Dodgeball, but badly done. Because did you actually finish Happy Gilmore 2 ever?
I don't think I got around to it. No.
Well, by the end, I was just like, wow, this truly is. You have the announcers, you have the absurd sort of network, you have the crazy team, you have the wacky sports that they're all doing, and you have the similar sort of payoffs in terms of what the heroes and the villains have to deal with. You have the wacky, insane villain that's like, wah, ha, ha, I represent everything wrong with the future of this sport. And you have the main character who's mostly nonchalant, kind of cool in how he deals with everything, but represents the average Joe. And it's just like, guys, this is just Dodgeball, but shit. And, as someone who cares deeply about Dodgeball, is one of my favorite comedies, it was awkward to watch because most of it doesn't land,
Yeah, it's a bit of a sad state of affairs. Alex Worstler says Spider-Man 3 needed to be a 2-part film, in my opinion. So, are we talking about the Sam Raimi one? In which case, yeah, I'm pretty sure he said the same thing. Like, the studio pressured him to put way too many characters in it.
Hot take. Love Sam Raimi, but he could have done better if all they did to him was force him to have Venom. I don't believe that should have made the third Spider-Man film so much worse than the first two.
Didn't they force Sandman into it as well? I don't think that was his original plan.
I could have sworn he wanted Sandman, but I'd have to check. In any case, as someone who doesn't, I don't know if it's controversial, I don't really care that much about Venom. If a studio said, nah, you have to have Venom, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I can work Venom. He's like evil Spider-Man, basically. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. But a lot of people claim that Sam Raimi had a bit of a bitterness toward the studio for having forced that. And if you remember, Topher Grace is possibly one of the worst. I like Topher Grace, but what the fuck are you doing casting him as Venom? Yeah, as Eddie Brock. That was such a mistake. And then having the scene where he's like, Jesus, can you kill Peter Parker?
Yeah.
And I want to hesitate. Like, Spider-Man 3 is better than so many bad movies that come out these days. I totally agree. It's just that it didn't need to be as bad as it was. And it's also got plenty of redeeming qualities.
I think that's fair. Kevin O'Neill says, I only recently learned that Jason Momoa thought he'd be playing Lobo, his favorite comic character, when he got the call to star in the DCU. That role would have been perfect for him, but instead... Yeah, I thought he was playing Lobo. Like he was recast or something.
Sorry, what did they not say? What was the message? Super chat?
So it says, I only recently learned that Jason Momoa thought he'd be playing Lobo, his favorite comic book character, when he got the call to star in the DCU. That role would have been perfect for him, but instead, and then
he is. Yeah. It's all but confirmed in the sense. If you remember when James Gunn was announced as like taking over, you got that thing where Jason Momoa, I don't know if he released it on his own Instagram or whatever the fuck, but he was leaving a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran ecstatic. And everyone was like, oh, because he's been cast as Lobo, because that's all he's wanted. He's always wanted to play Lobo. So, and Supergirl, he's going to be playing Lobo. So, yeah, I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure he's Lobo. 100%.
Okay. Well, that's all right then. A bass player says the 2000s was a wild time for horror. Awful PG-13 films, remakes of films no one remembers, and torture porn. Yeah, I mean, there's been good and bad in horror, but yeah, that's been a low point, I would say. There was other stuff. Though, like we got
Scary Final Destination movies. It's funny as fuck. As like a beneficial, I know that maybe that doesn't count because it's making fun of horror films, but it depends on what you think qualifies. Because I love Pitch Black. I think that's a horror film, right?
Action horror, I guess, is kind of where I put it. And that's from 1999, I think. So,
are you? I mean, American Psycho. Does that count?
When was that made again? Is that the
2000s, right?
It's close.
Yes, 2000.
Literally the year 2000. Yeah. Okay, I'll give it that.
What else is there? Is Bram Stoker's Dracula in 2000 or that's 90s? Is it?
Oh no, that's well older.
So
I mean, I'm just saying, we got Van Helsing in the 2000s. We got.
I mean, I don't. I'm one for honesty. Okay, I really enjoy that movie, but it's not very good.
No kidding.
So okay, this is my truly honest take. I don't think horror has ever been in a good place, just ever.
Well, it just, a trend will erupt, and then everyone tries to copy it, and then it dies down because it gets like, it goes through the genre like sort of scale of like the early adopters, the classic era, the parodies, and then just like it dies out. So you get that with just little trends within horror movies. So it doesn't exactly thrive on originality. When was Dog Soldiers and The Descent were both from the 2000s.
Oh, and I gotta say, I don't care if anyone disagrees, but The Descent is one of the greatest horror movies ever made.
This is a very good movie. 28 Days Later, that was 2002. So
it's one of the most influential zombie movies ever made, certainly for the modern era. Which obviously was influenced by Romero, but things move on.
Yeah. And yeah, there was a lot of torture porn in the 2000s. I don't know what was going on there.
As a major fan of horror, I watched. Man, this is bad, but like, because Hostel came out in 2005, which means I would have been 12. I watched them, and I have a distinct memory of being like, "Man, this is shit."
Like, well, at least you weren't laughing your ass off while watching it.
But it's so bizarre because I must have told you about the memory I have of which my sister reminds me of with Hills Have Eyes, right? Must have.
I don't think you've told me that one. So
being as obsessive with film as I was at age 6 through 8, where my dad showed me so many movies, which I have an assumption that is probably due to the fact that he had daughters, so it didn't work. You can't really show them as many scary or very aggressively masculine things. It doesn't work as well. But obviously, I was like, "Fuck yes, I adore this. This is amazing." And he was like, so it's such a strong memory I have. But the biggest things when I was younger was my mum worked as a nurse, so she was away for a lot of nights. She worked on what she called SCBU, which is Special Care Baby Unit. So a lot of very intensive late night care for babies, newborns, early borns, that sort of thing. And my dad would either be out doing whatever job he needed to do at the time or whatever. So a lot of the time there could be a chance where no parents are around. So what are you going to spend your time doing? And my biggest, funnest memories were playing Quake, the original, on PC, not understanding that I should not be playing a game like that at the age that I was, but who fucking cares? And also going into the room where my dad had all his DVDs, and there was a section above all of the regular films that I wasn't supposed to be able to reach that had all of the R-rated, I say this for Americans, but 18 films. And unfortunately for them, I grew pretty tall, pretty young. So I was able to reach a lot of this shit pretty easily.
I love how your dad would be like, "Damn it, I didn't account for this."
Isn't it such a that's a plot hole? It's like, nah, he really thought that. That I was just too short to reach this area of the DVDs. But I absolutely did. And several of them would be stuff like Hostel or whatever have you. And The Hills Have Eyes was this sort of one that I was like, I'm definitely not allowed to see that. And I think it was the remake. Hills Have Eyes, because it wouldn't have been the original. It would have been in 2006.
The original was relatively obscure, so yeah, I think
more than likely it could have been the original. I don't remember which one. In any case, reached for it, watched it, and my sister came home from I believe she worked at Tesco's at the time, which you'll know, but most Americans will not. Comes home and she literally entered the room at the point of the initial horrifying scenes of what happens to the people that are don't expect. I'm just trying to remain vague. They just don't know what's going to happen to them, and it happens to them. And she was like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you watching? What is this?" And I didn't understand why she was so mad because I was just watching a movie sort of thing, and I was just like, it's not very good. Like it's very. I was watching people literally get killed and worse, and I was like, I'm not really following the story. It's not. I was like, as horror movies go, because I had seen Terminator, Predator, and Alien, which I think are phenomenal. Watching Hills Have Eyes kind of ruined it because I was like, I don't really see what I'm to gain from this. Like, I barely know these characters, and of course, if someone were there to explain it to me, it would be, well, it's not as much about their journeys as much as it is about the situation being so horrifying. But it wasn't working for me. So I was trying to explain to her that, like, the story's not that great, that I'm not really invested in this, while she's horrified that I'm even seeing this. And it's just this really strong memory we both share, we both remember with each other, because she didn't know how to deal with that. She's like, do I tell the parents that their son has seen something that he shouldn't have? Or should I leave it because he seems to not give a shit at all? He doesn't seem to even recognize it.
I love the idea of like little baby Mauler just, still being super objective about these movies, like breaking down the plot and characters and logical consistency.
It's
horror movie.
Such a strong memory that I just didn't care about the characters, and that's why I didn't feel much for when they were killed. Like, when they were torn to shreds, when their family was torn apart, I was like,
It's a good sign, though, like, that you can pick apart these problems at such a young age. Shit, man, there's people our age that still can't do it, so...
I told you, like, my dad fucked me over. He showed me too many good films at once, so I was all invested in how they write them to make you care about everything. So that when I watch films that are okay... Because Hills Have Eyes classic is a classic for a reason. And I know now what's to value of it, and the difference between genres and how different artists create different stories. But when I was that young, I was just like, meh. Which is fucking bizarre to see when you got flesh and blood flying all across the screen and a 10-year-old being like, I don't really get it.
Dark Magician says, if the Thing was loose in the Fellowship of the Ring, how long before paranoia destroys them? Does anyone survive? Love you guys. Hello, Rags. Well, that's quite a question. Like, how would the Thing relate to all of this? Well, everyone in the Fellowship is made of flesh and blood, so it could absorb all of them without too much difficulty. I imagine someone like Legolas is not going to be as susceptible to paranoia, because elves don't seem to feel fear in the same way as other races.
Boromir would, though.
The hobbits are fucking goners. Like, they're just going to get slurped up immediately. Yeah, Gimli I don't think is going to stand much chance against it. Boromir is probably going to be pretty vulnerable.
Well, so if we're going from just how they react to the situation, Gandalf would want to try and figure out meaningfully who is who. Boromir would get real quick to distrusting anybody.
Boromir, I think, would just start murdering people.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
The hobbits would be terrified. Legolas would probably back Gandalf on, like, let's logically figure out who is who. Gimli would be like, it's obvious who's not who, and aggressively probably, like, try to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Aragorn probably is going to opt for Legolas and Gandalf's point of view. It's an interesting idea, though.
Could it absorb the ring, though? Or wait, could the ring corrupt the Thing?
Ooh, let's make that movie.
Yeah, and then I just got this image of, like, this horrifying flesh monster, like lurching its way towards Mordor to try and, like, return the ring to Sauron.
The Thing 2, Lord of the Rings, and you're like, I'm sorry, what? You're like, hey,
Lord of the Things.
Lord, you're like Elon Musk. You're like, I made billions in the tech industry, and now I want to make my favorite movie ever, which is The Thing and Lord of the Rings put together.
I'm pretty sure we could put this into, like, an AI and ask it to spit out a script, and it would be epic.
It would be better than Superman.
Yeah. This old fart says that we've been playing the exact same games for 20 years, only with new and improved skins. FPS, third-person adventure, RTS, etc. Changed my mind. I mean, I wouldn't say we've been playing the exact same games, but it does feel like we plateaued in terms of where gaming technology can take us.
Yeah.
I'm not really amazed by it anymore.
It's, cynically, it's not that we've reached that plateau, it's that nobody's working to push mechanics forward. They're all working to push graphics. And I really feel like we're on the cusp of breaking through that now, because graphics truly aren't going fucking anywhere, are they? It's like,
Nope.
man, they look amazing anyway.
Yeah, and I think you reach a point where it's like, I don't need them to be any better than they are right now. Like there's other things we need to focus on. John Gets Gaming says, Your Name, GOAT movie and beautiful animation. So greatest of all time movie.
All right.
There you go. Kevin O'Neill, has anyone watched Twilight of the Gods? It has Snyder attached to it, so I'm wary. But all the clips I've seen have looked excellent. I mean, I don't know, man. Like the trailers for Rebel Moon looked interesting, and look what we got there.
So what is Twilight of the Gods? Oh, is this the animated? Yeah, no, I don't really care about this. I think for all I know about it is that it's about like the Norse religion, and then Odin at the end sees a flash forward to Jesus and realizes that's the correct religion. I remember someone sharing that, and I was like, what? I don't think so.
I don't imagine that's quite how it played out. The last one here is from Mega Spidey Man. Says, if you could have any of Superman's powers, which would you want most and why? I mean, X-ray vision, so you can see through women's clothing, obviously. I mean, let's
a good
be sensible here.
As is flight, I'm going to be boring and pick whatever you call it, I guess super strength or whatever, that increases longevity. So whatever gives him the benefit of health, basically.
Did you ever watch like Superman? I think it was The Quest for Peace, when like Nuclear Man blows up a big chunk of like the Great Wall of China, and Superman's able to repair it just by looking at it somehow.
I've seen Superman 1 and 2 and the Donner. I have not seen 3 or 4.
They are wild movies, man. You need to watch them sometime. Yeah, that always stuck with me as like, how is this power even functioning? What is this? I don't know. It was just for that one scene in the movie, and it never gets mentioned again. Anyway, there you go. That was the last of the super chats right there. We went off on quite a few tangents on that one, and it was awesome, and I loved it.
Yeah.
But that brings us to the end of Open Bar 152 Last Orders.
Nice and short.
Yeah, thank you for joining us for this, and we'll catch you on the next Open Bar. I'm looking forward to getting back into it this week. But for now, that's all we got for today. So you go away now.
Bye.